All right, welcome to the middle of nowhere again. I think this area is called Okutama. It's actually quite pretty. It's covered with 30 km/h speed limit roads, which is a little irritating, but that's why I'm here in this car. This is the Honda S660. This is basically a baby Honda NSX. It's exciting with a mid-engine layout, 6-speed manual transmission. Just all these sporty sounding things, but because it's a Kei-car, it only has 64 horsepower out of a 660cc engine. Yeah, doesn't sound that great, but on roads with such low speed limits, you kind of want something you can still rev out and not get a speeding ticket for. So I was quite excited to try this car out, especially since I've driven old Honda sports cars like an EK9 Civic Type R and the original Honda Beat, and they were very fun and exciting cars. So I just wanted to see if a modern Honda sports car still holds up to the brand's reputation. So this being a Kei-car, you'd expect it to be incredibly tight and uncomfortable, and it isn't. It's actually more spacious than I thought it would be. Obviously, if you have a passenger, you're going to be kind of jostling for arm room here, especially as you try to shift. But in the driver's seat, it's actually more spacious than I thought. It is quite narrow, though, so the second you kind of want to move your arm up and down, you just bump everything in the world. But again, it's a Kei-car. These are meant legally to be of a certain size, so can't really do anything about that, other than just kind of the narrowness of everything. I mean, headroom's kind of okay. There's a small spot for your phone here. There's a single cup holder in the back with a cargo net. And unlike an ND8 MX-5, this thing actually has a glove box, which is something. But other than that, it's not the most practical car ever, especially since there's no actual trunk. This being mid-engine, a lot of people have like the Boxster in their head. We're like, oh, there should be 2 trunks. No, if you open the back, it's the tiny 660cc engine. If you open the front, there's a tiny little box where you can put the roof. Okay, so the S660 is a convertible like the S2000 was. However, this roof is far more complicated and annoying to take off. So apparently there's a couple latches here. There's one here, you gotta pull. Come on, there we go. There's another one here, pull. And then there's a third one here. And then I think you still have to kind of open the door, roll down the windows. And then this kind of rolls over here. Then you gotta get out of the car, finish rolling it, remove it, and then you gotta put it in the front. So with one hand holding this, you now need to open this trunk hood thing. Fortunately, it has hood struts, so that works. So again, while this is in your hand, you unclip these things, open up this little tiny cubby hole, and then you can finally load the roof into here. And there's even a little thing to make sure it doesn't move about. There we go. So if you want the roof down, process takes no more than 7 to 8 hours. Yeah, very quick process. Yeah, if you're caught out in a rainstorm, definitely at a red light, you can just put this back on and everything's fine. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but I've seen worse. Okay, on the road in the S660. This is clearly a car you buy to drive, not for its practicality and convenience features. So the driving part has to be good. And I don't know what to say. There are some very good things about this car. I mean, it's super lightweight. this thing handles like a housefly. And then this 6-speed manual gearbox, it's incredibly slick, incredibly precise, has wonderful short throws. But something about it's not quite as mechanical as an MX-5's gearbox. It's still incredibly good though. So, like I said, the handling's fantastic. The ride quality is not that bad. But the first thing that strikes me about this car as a bit of a disappointment is this electric assist power steering rack feels quite dead. And that's a shame. I mean, we've heard about like the S2000 kind of having dead steering, but I don't think it was this bad. And then we've heard a lot of people complain about the new NSX, like it doesn't matter how fast it is, something about it is a bit boring. Yeah, something about this car is a little boring. I mean, it handles incredibly well. It's super lightweight. It goes through corners at ridiculous speeds. It's just not as engaging as I was hoping, which is a bit of a shame. And the other part that I was kind of looking forward to regarding this car is the fact that it only has a 600cc engine. And I'm sure a lot of people are like, what? You're looking forward to the fact that this car was slow and weak? Yes, because I wanted it to just rev out, just make an amazing noise, make you feel like you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour when you aren't, like the Honda Beat did. The trouble is this doesn't do it. So if I go down to second now and give it the beans, it makes an okay noise and it gives a nice little turbo whoosh at the end, but it doesn't feel as raw and just like punch you in the face fast, even though you're not going fast, as the old Honda Beat. And something about this car is a little too modern. It's just a little too good at everything, where it just doesn't feel as fun as it should. And for a lot of people, that's a great thing. If you're used to modern cars, this is a fantastic car. And, you know, the slightly dead steering and all these other things you can ignore and have a great time on a back road. However, if you're like me and your daily drive is a Mazda MX-5, this feels disappointing. Not the driving itself and the handling is everything's disappointing. It feels disappointing. And a week ago, I was driving a Honda Civic Type R. Oh my God, that thing was such a terrible daily car. It rode hard, it was super loud, it had no power steering, but I loved it. There's something just charming and characterful about a flawed car, especially an old one, and you know, just something about it was super fun to drive. I couldn't stop smiling, I couldn't stop laughing. This car, I haven't smiled the whole day. And again, it's not that this is a bad car. It's super comfortable. It does all the daily living stuff really well, other than holding things beyond the size of a couple of shoes. And I feel that's a bit of a shame. Like, I know how good Honda can make a car feel. And this car, again, it just doesn't feel that special. However, if you're not like me, where you only care about the way a car feels, you care about the performance and the handling, this car won't disappoint. But for me, where I like the old NA Miatas and everything, that's all about feel, this car was slightly disappointing. Sorry to say it. Thanks for watching.